It was a great week of Mountaineer sports here on campus, and on this week's episode of the A-Game, we get to show you records being broken, App State teams making the playoffs, and even more win streaks for those teams.
We have a Mountaineer Spotlight, Mountaineer Madness, and Desmond Reed back in studio with us, so stay tuned for this week's episode of the A-Game.
App State took down Coastal Carolina 37-29 after a hard-fought game this past Saturday. Taylor Lamb threw for 2 touchdown passes en route to a career-high 427 yards. Lamb now has 76 touchdown passes in his career at App State, making him the all-time school leader in touchdown passes thrown. The senior quarterback is now only 6 touchdowns away from becoming the all-time passing touchdown leader in Sun Belt Conference history. Receivers Jalen Virgil and Ike Lewis both hauled in more than 100 yards receiving on the day, which marks the first time the Mountaineers had 200-yard receivers in a game since, listen to this, 2013. That was when Taylor Lamb was still in his senior year of high school. The Mountaineers have improved to 4-0 in the Sun Belt Conference for the 3rd straight season, and all 4 of those wins have been of the come-from-behind fashion, proving that this team is the fight-to-desire need that Coach Scott Satterfield has alluded to so many times this season. A-Game host and reporter Ashley Smith was at the game Saturday and has more from Kid Brewer Stadium.
The Mountaineers face a tough Coastal Carolina team here at Kid Brewer Stadium. I finished with a strong 37-29 victory. Head coach Scott Satterfield and quarterback Taylor Lamb both were impressed with the young talent on the field tonight that were making big plays.
But I'm proud of our guys. There was a lot of young guys tonight that made some plays for us. Jalen Virgil, Marcus Williams Jr. We're already playing about 11 freshmen on defense, redshirt and true freshmen. We're kind of dinged up right now. But Jalen Moore went out, I think, in the first quarter. And, so Dietrich had to play, and Marcus Williams Jr. had to play running back. Probably why we leaned a little bit more on the pass tonight. And I thought Taylor was playing very well, and our receivers were catching the ball very well.
I think Coach wanted to open it up during the week. He said we're going to open it up. I think we had a lot of guys make plays outside, with Henny, Verge, and Ike. Ike had a great game also. So a lot of players outside. Thought protection was good. Missed some here and there. That's going to happen when you throw it 40 times. So just correct our mistakes next week.
The team will be practicing in preparation for their game next week against UMass. Reporting for AppTV in the A-Game, I'm Ashley Smith.
Welcome back to the A-Game here on AppTV. A-Game analyst, college football, Desmond Reed, and we're here once again. Appalachian State beat Coastal Carolina this weekend 37-29. They were expected to win by 20-plus points, but they trailed at halftime. We'll get into a little bit more on the game in just a second, but I got to ask you this, Des, because Friday or Saturday at the Rock, perfect temperatures, about 67 degrees. You've been there before when the leaves are starting to turn over the hill. Temperature's great. What's it like playing at home in front of a huge crowd, great temperatures?
Playing at home is always exciting. It was a family weekend, so a lot of different families came up just for the game. It was a sellout game, so It was a great crowd. And then just, the atmosphere, it's a little breeze, but it's still enough to play some great football. So, and I feel like a great opponent like Coastal coming in and us bringing in our fans, I feel like it was a great game, and I feel like everything went as well.
So you talk about atmosphere. App State was expected to win, like I said, by 20-plus points in the game, and yet they trailed at halftime. However, they did score the first 2 touchdowns without Coastal scoring, and they were up 14-0 at one point. So that atmosphere was big, but the shocking being down at halftime to Coastal Carolina after expected to win by 20, how did they change that around at halftime and then figure it out in the fourth quarter like they did against New Mexico State as well?
Well, they're going to get everyone their shot like I told you before. Like Coastal, yes, they're new to this conference, but they still know, hey, we have to wake up and we have to give our all. And they did that. And coming out, out of halftime, down the score, it was definitely a eye-opener for, the Mountaineers. But they, like a championship team, they came, buckled down, settled down, and they got the victory.
So they buckled down, but Michael Rubino did miss 3 field goals in the game. Nothing against him, because everybody has their off days from now and again. Where is he at mentally right now? Because it's got to be tough to go in there and miss 3 like that, right?
If you watch, you watch basketball, you see Stephen Curry miss like 3 threes back to back or something like that. He's just in a slump, just like Rubino, just in a kicking slump. He'll be fine. The coaching staff that we have there, they'll, keep his spirits up, and even the players around keep his spirits up. So, I'm sure he come back, practice this week and ready to kick, and so hopefully he'll get another shot.
So I notice here, and you can show the screen, you're wearing 2 Camellia Bowl rings on your fingers there. And, of course, you were a part of those teams, back-to-back Camellia Bowl championships. At this point in the season for Appalachian State, I'm not sure if they've played to the expectations they have at this point, but they still could make another bowl run. Where do you think they are as a team? Maybe get back to another Camellia Bowl or another bowl game. Where do you think they are as a team? Because you have been a part of some of those really good football teams.
Right now, you don't want to be, at your very best right now, because you have, a lot more football else to play. We still have to go on the road and still have a Thursday night game here against, the rivals against Georgia Southern. So, there's really no time to relax. I feel like, the offense is now finding, what works best for them, knowing that we can't really rely on Jalen Moore as much. So T. Lamb just kind of take upon himself and the offense and just start to spread the ball out. So I think, as far as a team, I feel like we all know what they have to do. They know that everyone's still coming for their head, and they just have to, stay the course. And if they do, they'll have another ring on their finger this year.
So you talked about Taylor Lamb. You were there on the team last season when Marcus Cox ran into the end zone and got that record for Appalachian State as rushing yards. He leads the team in rushing yards for his career. And now Taylor Lamb passed for his 75th passing touchdown Saturday afternoon, and he passed Armani Edwards. What's that mean for Taylor Lamb, App State football history, that kind of thing for this team?
That's a big accomplishment. Armani Edwards, he was an extremely good player here. Of course, he helped beat Michigan as well. So, seeing Marcus, break the record, last year, and then seeing T. Lamb break it this year, it's just a great atmosphere around here and a great, excitement, seeing, all the hard work that these players put in is finally paying off, and you see it as far as with record breakings. Like we all said, records are meant to be broken, and they also displayed that.
Well, Appalachian State has a history of breaking records, and of course they've won those back-to-back Camellia Bowl titles. They'll be on the way to do that once again this season. Thanks again for joining us, Desmond Reed, A-Game football analyst here on the A-Game. He's always breaking down all kinds of football statistics for us and giving us the update on the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And when we come back, men's and women's soccer highlights from the weekend. All that and more next on the A-Game.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet if you are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
The Mountaineers pulled out a gritty 1-1 draw against Campbell University on Tuesday. Facing a 1-0 deficit, freshman Reed Honeycutt found fellow freshman Justin Pruitt for the score and to tie the game at 1 apiece. Goalkeeper Jake Agnew returned from this game from injury, stopping 5 Campbell shots, including 2 huge saves in the overtime periods. Jamie Battelle, A-Game reporter and soccer expert, has more on this game from Ted Mackerel Soccer Complex.
Appalachian State men's soccer drew 1-1 against Campbell here at Ted Mackerel Soccer Complex. It was the Camels that opened the scoring through Donnelly. He got his 12th of the season. but the Mountaineers returned with an equalizer through Justin Pruitt, the freshman, and it was his first goal of the season. Here's what Ian Bennett and the goal scorer Justin Pruitt had to say, as well as coach Jason O'Keefe.
Our team came together, and Reed crossed the ball out there and just happened to get it into the goal and celebrate with my teammates.
If you're good enough, you're going to be good enough. We don't really worry about what an age, freshman to senior, if you're producing and you're playing.
The Mountaineers men's soccer team will return to play against Georgia State this Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia. They return for their last home game against Georgia Southern later in November. For AppTV in the A game, I'm Jamie Patel.
The women's soccer team played to a 1-1 tie with Sunbelt opponent UL Monroe. With the draw, App State moves to 2-5-2 in Sunbelt play. Senior Lindsay Tully scored a goal off an assist from Kat Greer in her third straight game for the Apps. Braxton Critcher was at Ted Mackerel Soccer Complex on Friday and has more on the game.
The women's soccer team fought to a 1-1 tie here at Ted Mackerel Soccer Complex. App State won 70% of the 50-50 balls in the game and saw a strong defensive effort from the back line. UL Monroe would tie up the game 1-1 in the second half on only their 5th goal of the season. Sarah Strickland, however, did say that she liked the effort and the fight from her team.
I thought the girls were outstanding tonight. I mean, I really did. I thought they created a lot of opportunities. I thought they committed to balls in the air. I thought they were defending really well 1v1 on the ground. We got end line. I mean, our corners were pretty good for the most part. A couple that were out of bounds, but I thought we were extremely dangerous, and I thought we were very composed in the final third. So would have liked to have gotten on the end of a couple of those crosses inside the 6, but I thought that the composure they showed and their ability to beat the defender 1v1 and get the service off was pretty outstanding.
I think we did a really good job. I mean, I think we created a lot of chances off the 50-50 balls. We practiced a lot of that in our practices, and they're set for us to win balls in the air. Something to hold ourselves accountable to is winning every 50-50 ball, and that's one of our goals we talk about in the locker room before every game. So I think we did a really good job doing that and be able to get the ball forward.
App State finished up their home schedule Sunday against Coastal Carolina and will await further notice on the Sun Belt tournament this week. For AppTV in the A game, I'm Braxton Critcher. The field hockey team won their 4th game in a row and finished up MAC conference play after taking down Ball State 3-2. With the win, the Mountaineers improved to 8-8 on the season and finish up in 4th place in the MAC conference. The win is another one, an impressive one at that, in October for the Apps, seeing the team go 4-1 with their only loss to number 15 Wake Forest. We talked to head coach Megan Dawson after the game.
I don't think our program has had this much success in a long time, so I think the girls feel confident in the training that we're doing and everything that's kind of led us up into this point, and I think it's just something to believe in, and we need this next game, so we need to have that confidence.
The Mountaineers finished their season against number 2 ranked Duke on October the 28th and then return home the very next day for Senior Day against American University on October the 29th.
The volleyball team was on the road last week to face UL Monroe and Louisiana. The Mountaineers played Louisiana on Friday night, resulting in a loss of 3-0. App played a tough game all around, but couldn't get the finish. On Sunday, the team went against UL Monroe, getting the sweep. Grace Morrison, Courtney Sullivan, Melissa McMath, and Cassie Stevenson all had good games on the net for the Mountaineers.
All right, coming up, we've got Mountaineer Spotlight, Player of the Week, and Mountaineer Madness. That's all next after the break.
The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Visit ready.gov/earthquake today.
We welcome you back to the A game. Thanks for joining us. Mountaineer Madness was on campus this past Friday night, where the men's and the women's basketball teams had their first taste of this season. Ashley Smith was on the sidelines for Mountaineer Madness and has more from Holmes Convocation Center.
The men's and women's basketball teams were here at Holmes Convocation Center to tip off the 2017-2018 season with the first ever Mountaineer Madness. The women's team scrimmaged first against their student assistants for 10 minutes before having a 3-point contest. Sophomore Nicola Matthews won the three-point contest and won a student a brand new iPad. During the men's scrimmage, there was lots of dunks and fancy footwork. After their scrimmage, there was a dunk contest judged by Coach Angel Elderkin, tennis player Scott Webster, and athletic director Doug Gillen. It was the highlight of the night with Craig Hinton winning the competition.
Reporting for AppTV in the A-Game, I'm Ashley Smith.
It's now time for this week's segment of Mountaineer Spotlight, where Jay Boyd got a chance to walk the field with quarterback Taylor Lamb. Lamb passed Armani Edwards with 75 career passing touchdowns for the all-time record here at App State this weekend. We got a chance to learn more about Taylor, his mom, the team's jokester, and so much more. Check it out.
What types of things are you guys working on going through the rest of the season, trying to keep focus and win out through the Sun Belt?
I think playing a full game, offense, defense, special teams. We haven't done it this year yet. We came out hot last week, and then in the previous weeks we hadn't come out too hot, and then we kind of stalled there in the second quarter. So, just playing a complete game on offense, defense, and special teams.
So football is pretty important. Obviously, you guys are having a good season. But what type of things are you doing away from the field? Take your mind away from the game.
Yeah, I'm actually student teaching this fall over at Hardin Park. So I'm doing that to graduate in December. So I'm there every day until practice start in the morning. So I'm actually teaching the kids health and PE over there. So it's a cool deal.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And you guys have some pretty funny teammates. Who is one of the more funny teammates you have on the team this year?
I think either Brad Apsher or Chandler Greer.
What types of things do those guys do?
Those guys, man, they're just Chandler Greer loves quoting movies, so he'll just randomly quote movies. He's just a funny guy, and then Brad's really sarcastic, so you got to keep on your toes when you're around those guys.
What type of pranks have you guys pulled over the years?
Oh, in the locker room, man, we've done a lot of pranks. I remember. Freshman, sophomore year, we used to have a lot of pillow fights, and then they got new couches, so you can't take the pillows out, so we don't have pillow fights anymore, but just a lot of little things that are funny.
So both defensive line coach Mark Ivey and strength and conditioning coach Mike Serrangiano have a good time on game days. Which one do you think is more hype?
Oh, man, that's hard. They both bring a lot of passion to the game, especially on game days. Coach Ivey, man, he's never without passion throughout the locker room, not even on game days, but Monday through Fridays. And Coach Mike brings it in the locker room and in the weight room every day. So, both those guys are probably equally passionate about it.
You've had your mom on the sideline for most of your career. What has that meant to you?
It's been a cool deal. I've been just having her up here because Dad's coaching. So she said she can watch Dad coach the rest of her life. I only get to play these years. So she travels every game, which means a lot to me, and having that support on the sideline is cool.
You spoke about your dad. You've had a lot of experience with football even before you got to this level. What has that meant to you, and how does that help you?
Yeah, well, my dad's been coaching since I was born, so I grew up inside meeting rooms, locker rooms when I was little. So just being around the sport and knowing how programs work, how successful programs work, I think it's helped me get to this point.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
This is Jay Boyd, Mountaineer Spotlight.
We are now pleased to present to you this week's Player of the Week. While the football team got a win on Saturday and volleyball won on Sunday, this week's award goes to goalkeeper Jake Agnew for his performance against Campbell last Tuesday. The backup keeper, Agnew, for the soccer team replaced starter Jake Chasteen, who was out with an injury, and Agnew shined with 5 saves in the game. None were bigger, though, than the 2 key saves he had in overtime period number 1. The team would finish in a tie with the Campbells because of his efforts, and that is why we are giving him this honor to sophomore goalkeeper Jake Agnew of the men's soccer team. Congratulations to you, Jake, and from all of us here at the A-Game, we wish you and your team the best the rest of the season.
That is all we have for you this week on the A-Game. Remember to stay updated with all the action going on this week in App State athletics as the soccer and volleyball seasons are nearing a close.
Remember to like and follow us on social media and let us know what we can do better to give you more coverage on the teams that you love. For Ashley Smith, Sam Moore, and everyone else behind the scenes here at the A-Game, I'm Braxton Critcher, and we will see you next week.